absolutely yes. No question about it. With regard to the statistical models and things like that, the statistics do exist and they are startling reading. But every time I try and use them and present them, everybody says it's not due to broadband, it's due to something else. And it's linking that, the changes in population, the changes in urban living and all those social things that are changing. It's made, is that down to lack of broadband or is that down to some other factor? And making those connections, I've personally not found easy to do at all.
All right. Anyone else on the panel volunteering to? Adrian? Yeah.
I was going to make a comment about the statistics. Rather than looking backwards at, as you say, it's actually quite difficult. You can attribute rural migration for all sorts of reasons, but Birkbeck College, who did some work with CRC amongst other people on defining what rural was and what market towns were. They're now doing some work because they say, well, actually, the current definitions we have really define a sort of 19th century, very bucolic subsistence farming environment, and not the sort of environment that we actually see in market towns. So they've been re-looking at these models and have come up with a whole range of different types that describe towns much more accurately, and not just assume that a market town has a cattle market, because actually most of them don't. And when they started to apply that and started looking at the sort of data that you were talking about, they started to find some quite interesting patterns that does have an impact in the future on broadband policy and the economy. So, for example, they noticed that there were certain types of market towns that are satellites around our cities where middle managers live. And they were actually the targets of a lot of the recession redundancies. Now, why does that matter to broadband? Well, those sorts of people are just as likely to decide not to go and find another job and to create their own new business. And they're likely to start that from home or within the town that they live in. And they may not have the kind of broadband infrastructure that allows them to set that business up. So the challenge we have in the UK is that we have an almost unique rural environment. If you travel to France, it is largely farming, and it's quite small farming. If you travel here, you're going to find a much more mixed economy, and where there is farming, it tends to be a much larger scale business focused farming rather than just small scale subsistence. So it actually becomes a much more important issue to solve these problems in our rural areas. And I think it's finding the models that actually prove how we move forward and how we prove demand in the future rather than looking backwards is what we really need to be doing.
Thank you, Adrian. Stuart?
Very quickly, because I know time is now running out. It was interesting that John said that broadband is the #1 issue in that particular area, and I've actually come across this in other rural areas too, above affordable housing, so that's an interesting point. Secondly, to say that the rural economy produces around £200 billion worth into the national economy. And all our research has shown that if we with the right investment and the right infrastructure, that is broadband access and mobile phone coverage, there is huge potential out there to be released. And my third point is that I entertained a minister from Kenya a few months ago, who said that because in certain areas of Kenya where they've rolled out broadband access, it has overcome those people who are socially deprived, a lesson we can learn from a poor country.
Thank you very much.
Well, I guess I'm the wireless champion here. So I will speak to the issue of Ireland. They're right. Today, wireless is absolutely the best way to get broadband out. It will be a while and very expensive to get 4th generation wireless out, because both LTE and WiMAX are situations where the cell sites have to be within 500 meters of each other to give contiguous coverage. That just, Mother Nature says so. You got higher bit rates, you got less power in each bit. That's just the way the world works. However, third generation cellular, even though it also has that limitation, can give considerably higher distances between. So you could cover this, as long as you weren't trying to get 20 megabits. You could do broadband with cellular today. It would take very little time, but you aren't going to get to 20 megabits or 50.
Okay, well, thank you very, very much. I'm going to be very brutal here, I'm afraid, and say, could we please be back in 15 minutes? Many thanks to speakers. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everybody, very much. And see you back here. Please, please, no more than 15 minutes. If you can make it 10, that's even better. Leave out of that door for your coffee.